course, psycholinguistics. If we can divide the word psycholinguistics into two parts, we'll find that the first part is psycho, which means the mind, the human mind, and linguistics, the study of language. So what do these two have in common? The human mind and language. So, as most of you know, language is processed in the human mind. So while I'm speaking now, I'm processing, I'm encoding. While I'm speaking now, I'm creating language, I'm creating sentences, I'm trying to bring words together. So this is done by the human mind. So let's move to the first slide we have here, which is the textbook we are going to use. I'll try my best to summarize the lectures so that you don't need to read the book, but in case you needed to discover more about the topic, to learn more about the topic, it would be good to refer back to the book and read more about the lecture, the title covered in the lecture. The title, as you can see, is Fundamentals of Psycholinguistics. The author is Eva Fernandez and Smith Cairns. And here we have an image of the first page of the book. So this is our textbook, but as I said earlier, most of the material will be in the slides. So now let's move to the to today's lecture, which is the introductory lecture. The content: first, we're going to define psycholinguistics. What does it mean? Then we're going to discuss some disciplines covered or related to psycholinguistics. Then finally we will have some exemplary questions in the field of psycholinguistics. So let's move to the first point, which is the definition of psycholinguistics. As you can see in the definition, which we will explain in detail, psycholinguistics is an interdisciplinary field of study in which the goals are to understand how people acquire language, how people use language to speak and understand one another, and how language is represented and processed in the brain. Let's take this part by part. Psycholinguistics is an interdisciplinary field of study, which means psycholinguistics has to do with a lot of disciplines within linguistics, and of course within medicine and within language pathology, that is curing some of the limitations which some people have, like stuttering, etc. So psycholinguistics is an interdisciplinary field. It has to do with many fields, both inside linguistics and outside linguistics, in which the goals are to understand how people acquire language. So this is our first goal in psycholinguistics: how people acquire language. Then how people use language to speak and understand one another. Now most of you speak English, speak Arabic, but now the question is how? How do you speak English? Where is English stored in your mind? If we look at it this way, is English stored somewhere in your mind? Is Arabic stored in the same place or in a different place? Most of you speak two languages, or perhaps more than two languages. Where exactly is Arabic stored? Where exactly is English stored? Are they stored in the same place or in different places? So this is our main concern in psycholinguistics: how people use language to speak and understand one another. And we are going to see in the next few slides a possible explanation of how language is represented in the mind. So, and how language is represented and processed in the brain. Hopefully the definition is clear. If you need further help, you can contact me later if you want more explanation of this explanation or this definition of the field of the word psycholinguistics. Now let's move to the second slide: some disciplines related to psycholinguistics. Psycholinguistics can be looked at as a field which is in the center, and many other fields are related to psycholinguistics. So we can study phonetics from a psycholinguistic perspective. Of course, we can study discourse analysis, the analysis of conversations, and we can study, as I said earlier, language pathology, that is speech therapy, and neuroscience. As most of you know, there are diseases which can affect the production of language, like Alzheimer's disease, like Parkinson's disease. Both of these two diseases can affect the way you speak and the way you understand language. And finally, psycholinguistics can be approached via language learning. So these are some disciplines related to psycholinguistics. Of course, we are going to discuss this in detail throughout the semester. Today's lecture is just an introduction in order for you to see how psycholinguistics is studied. In the next slide, we have some exemplary questions in psycholinguistics, some example questions. So let's suppose that someone is interested in psycholinguistics, he wants to see, or he wants to research in psycholinguistics. These are some examples or some questions to be asked in the field of psycholinguistics. The first question is, how are words and word meanings represented in someone's mind? So this is one of the questions to be asked in psycholinguistics. Another question is, how are sentences composed in someone's mind at the time of speech? So while I'm speaking now, how do I combine words together? This is of course a process inside the mind, but in psycholinguistics we are trying to figure out ways or try to look for answers for the process of language, both encoding, which is speaking and writing, and decoding, listening and speaking. While you are listening to me now, you are trying to decode the language. Finally, one of the questions which are possibly asked in psycholinguistics is, how are words and sentences and their meanings analyzed at the time of listening or reading? So these are exciting questions. Perhaps some of you have thought about them earlier, before even studying psycholinguistics. How language is stored in my mind? How do I create sentences? Now I know words, the meanings of words separately. How do I link them together? How do I make phrases and sentences? Let's move to the next slide, which is an example or an illustration, a possible illustration of how language is both encoded and decoded. So here in the picture we have two people. Let's suppose that the one with the dark skin on the right is blind. He can't see the tree, and the one on the left can see the tree. He wants to describe what he can see to the blind person on the right, the one with the dark skin. So he sees the image of the tree. There is a representation for the tree inside his mind, and there is a link between this particular object in the nature, which we can see, and we call it tree. So inside the human mind, there is a relation between the object, the physical object, and the word. So the word is tree, and the physical object is the tree itself. So the one on the left, on the right, sees the tree. Now he sees the tree. There is a word for this object, the tree. It is the word tree. So he utters the word tree. While he utters the word tree, the one on the left, the one on the right with the dark skin, who can't see the tree, hears the word tree, and there is a representation inside his mind of the word tree, which is the physical tree. I hope this is clear. I cannot listen your questions, and because this is a recorded lecture, but I hope that this is clear. If you need, I will always say this. If you need further help, please ask me during, or please ask me on the website. Okay. Now let's move to the final slide, which is the picture reference, where I took this picture from. So if you needed to contact me, I think you will have my email. I will send it together with these slides. So hopefully when you have questions, don't hesitate to ask me. And thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoy this course. Thanks very much.